Welcome to Love, Sex, and Lasting Relationships. I'm excited for us to get together in the next 10 sessions and talk about love, talk about sex, and talk about how to have a relationship that can really last. You know, you were made to be loved and to give love. God made you to enjoy sex at its highest and its best. And God's heart for you is that you would have a relationship that lasts throughout your whole life. That as you look around the landscape, it's not working very well. But I want you to know there's hope. It can be different. In this first session, we're going to look at two models of relationships. And I've had thousands and thousands of people literally say, when they watched what you're about to see in the next 25 minutes, it revolutionized their view of relationships. You're going to learn what helps relationships really work and what kills them. So why don't you open that workbook and let's dig in together. Tonight I want to talk about the secret of a lasting relationship. You are a relational being. You are created by God first and foremost to have your heart and your soul connected to Him. And then the second and most powerful way He wants to express His love to you is He wants to bring another person into your life. And He wants your hearts to connect and your minds to connect and your emotions to connect. And yes, even at the right time and the right way, expressing all that, your body to connect. He wants you to give love and receive love. He wants you to understand what sex is, where it should be, and how it can be better and deeper and richer than you can ever imagine. And then He wants to give you the ability to go through life with someone that when you are down and when you are hurting and when you're not a good person to live with, someone looks in your eyes and they see the ugliness and they see the lack of patience, and they see the carnality, and they smile and they love you anyway. You're looking for that person. I found that person. Some of you are in a relationship, but that doesn't describe it. Some of you are waiting for that relationship to happen. And some of you are in a thing called marriage right now, and you're saying, you know something? I've heard that it's supposed to be like that. But buddy, I got news for you. Mine isn't working that way. It's the longing of every single person's heart. I mean, imagine, what music? I mean, every single song on the radio. What is almost every song about? Every movie, unless they're blowing someone up, or it's science fiction, or body parts are flying around, what's the movie about? It's about romance. What's the top-selling fiction? Romance novels. I mean, every MTV or VH1 clip, I mean, if they're not blowing someone up or having drive-by shootings, what's it about? I mean, someone is dancing and the glance here and they meet someone there, right? And all of us are living this life to have that deep connection. We want to be loved. We want to enjoy God-ordained, God-given, beautiful act of sex, and we want it to last. But the fact of the matter is, for all of our desire, for all the books, all the movies, and all the songs, and this isn't a new thing. I mean, you can go back 2,000 years and read Greek literature. You can go back to Egyptian literature. Human beings are human beings, and we want to be loved. And sex is important, and we want it to last. Tonight, I want to talk to you about two models. There's two prescriptions out there. Two ways that people are saying, you can have this, you can get this. One works and the other doesn't. I want to look at first model number one that I call Hollywood's prescription for lasting relationships. And if you will, it's almost a 4-step formula. I mean, I wish I had a little black box and I could take every movie that you've ever seen, old, new, ever since you were a little kid. Every song that has ever gone into your brain, every book that you've ever read, any video that you've ever rented, take all the content and go, and put it inside this box. And then we could hook it up and push a few buttons, and then out of all those movies, all those books, all those videos would come out. If you want to have love, sex, and a lasting relationship, literally, here would be the formula. Number one, find the right person. You got to find the right person. I mean, isn't that the key? He's out there. She's out there. You got to find them. That means you got to get out there on the hunt. And if you're going to get out there on the hunt, you got to be good bait, right? You got to wear the right kind of jeans. You got to have the right kind of shoes. You got to have the sweater that's in. You got to pump a little iron and drink a little creatine, right? Because you got to look good. Because we're on the hunt and we're looking and we want to find that person. And on every commercial and billboard and magazine, even when we walk out of the checkout stand, Cosmo and 17 and Star and Inquirer and People tell us what looks good, what looks cool. And if you want to find the J-Lo or the Julia of your dreams, the Cameron or the Brad Pitt of your dreams, then you got to look a certain way, but go find them. And we have an entire world doing what? Looking, looking, looking. Step number 2, if you watch the movies, and it happens in all the movies, right? Is find the right person and then fall in love. You don't know how it'll happen. It's magical. It's mystical. Right? You know, you might just be taking tickets at the subway and he walks by. Your eyes meet. And you're in love. Or you might be walking into a Starbucks. You bump into her. You look. She looks. Your eyes meet. There's chemistry. There's something about, and you tell your friend, I've met him. I've met him. What? Where? What? What's his name? I don't know. Well, where's he go to school? I don't know. Well, how old is he? I don't know, but I met him and I'm in love. Just the chemistry, it starts. And maybe you'll meet. And then this magical moment will happen. You will feel ooey gooey all over. You'll start to melt. You'll have a tingly feeling that starts at the top of your head. It'll go all the way to your toes. And in movie after movie after movie and video and book, we watch it happen in multiple ways. What? And they fall in love. And then after they fall in love, what? You can tell me the next one, right? Step 1, find the right person. Step 2, fall in love. Step 3, what do? We set or fix our hopes and dreams on this person. I'll never forget my college roommate. The first experience I saw of this. 6'6", we played basketball together. He literally walked in, tall, thin guy. He walked in like this. Whoa. I said, Phil, what's going on? He says, I am in love. I said, really? He said, yeah, I am in love. What's her name? I don't know yet, but I am in love. And he began to talk about it. And I mean, every day then, he would, tell me, do I look okay? And do you think these jeans look good with this? And then he got to know her name. And then they started going out. And then Phil disappeared. I mean, he barely showed up to practice. He didn't do his homework. He didn't go to class. Why? He fixed his hopes, his dreams. Everything that mattered was her. She was going to fulfill him. When you really fall in love, head over heels, your IQ drops about 30 points. You do things that people tell you that's stupid. You spend money you don't have. You stay up late. You get up early. You do nutty, crazy, bizarre things because you're in love, and this person's going to come through. This is what you've always wanted, and the feelings are so powerful, right? Step 4, however, is that if failure occurs, repeat steps 1, 2, and 3. You see, how many of us have had this experience? Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times. How many of us have gone through the cycle and quote, found the right person, fallen in love, fixed our hopes and dreams on them. You get to know them a little bit, and then you find out they do something really rotten, like go out with someone else. Or you get really close to them and you find they have a violent temper and they blow up. Or you find that, boy, you know what, she is really, really good looking, but boy, she's selfish. Or, you know what, he has been pumping a lot of iron, but all he does is pump iron and look in the mirror at himself. He's a jerk. And so what you find out when it doesn't work, what do? You repeat the cycle. It's what you hear, it's what you sing, it's what you watch, it's the videos that we rent, it's the books that we read. And I want to tell you, Christian or not, believer or unbeliever, it's in the air, it's in the water, it's now in your genes, it is in your mind, and whether you know it or not, you have at some level bought into Hollywood's prescription. You believe, consciously or unconsciously, if I'm ever going to have great love, real sex, and a relationship that lasts, I got to find the right person. And then somehow, some way, I don't know how, I'm going to fall in love. And then I'm going to fix my hope and dreams on them, and they'll be the right one. And then when it's not, here's the assumption. Oh, it was just for a season. Or it wasn't really the right one. Or we've drifted apart. Remember that? I guess they're not the right one for me anymore because it's not working. It's frustrating. It's hard. I don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel loved. She's not coming through for me. So what do? We go back out and fish and go through the whole cycle. Notice the success rate. The divorce rate, the population of divorced people in 1970 was about 4.3 million people. In 1996, 26 years later, the divorce rate was 18.3 million people. Since the silver screen and the revolution of the 60s and the free love and we can now have it all, the most rapidly growing population in all of America is those that are divorced. Those who cohabitate have quadrupled because a lot of people realize this doesn't work and it's painful going through all the legal stuff. We'll just live together and then we break apart. In fact, it's well beyond even just the shallow, oh, it didn't work and it's painful, but you'll get over it. Isn't that what we tell them? You know, the kids are resilient. They'll bounce back. U.S. News, weekly magazine, Children of a Divorce, landmark study, 25 years later. It says this landmark study tracked kids from broken homes for a quarter of a century, 25 years. They tracked kids from broken homes to see the impact of divorce, that it continues well into adulthood. It starts off, a part of me is always waiting for disaster to strike. I live in dread that some terrible loss will change my life. That, according to psychoanalyst Judith Wallerson, is what divorce sounds like 25 years after the fact among those it hits the hardest. Children. You notice how quiet it is in here? Some people's minds are playing little videotapes and memories of the pain that you have in your life. There are no easy divorces. There are no, well, we're just friends and the kids will be okay. The pain and the damage and the fallout and the chaos goes on and on and on. 25 years later, pain, damage. And I'm here to tell you, Hollywood's formula will bring disaster to your relationships. And I'm not asking, do you buy into it? It's just, how much have you already bought into it? And I don't know that we'll ever escape it in the culture that we're in. But I want to tell you that there is something that you're being told day in and day out on commercials, on TV, in books, in music. You sing the words. And I want to tell you there's another model, and it works. And that God has a plan for authentic love, dynamic sex, and a relationship that'll last. Let's look at model number 2. This is God's prescription for a lasting relationship. If you have your Bible, will you please open it to Ephesians chapter 4. God's prescription for a lasting relationship is best summed up with just 2 verses. In contrast to the fall in love, after finding the right person, fixing your hopes and dreams on them, and then starting over if it doesn't work, God would say, in summarizing relationships and how they work, therefore be imitators of God as beloved children, and walk in love just as Christ also loved you and gave himself up for us, an offering, a sacrifice to God as a fragrant aroma. And I ask you to open your Bibles to Ephesians chapter 4, because did you notice the very first word? I said I'd put you to work. It says therefore. Circle the word therefore, because we know it comes from something else. And what I want you to know is that you are the object of the most loving, generous being in all the universe, and it is God. And he sent his son Jesus, fully God, fully man, on this earth to walk and to live and to heal and to teach and to raise the dead and to love the poor and to display truth and grace so that you would know that God loves you. And at a certain point in time, if you receive Jesus Christ as your Savior, a miraculous thing happens. Just as a person is physically born, the Scripture says there's a second birth, a spiritual birth. And just as a physical birth brings life into existence, a spiritual birth brings spiritual life into existence. And the first 3 chapters of Ephesians say, this is what happens when you move from the kingdom of darkness into fellowship with God through Jesus Christ. A new identity. You are secure. You are loved. You are precious. You are valuable. You're the object of God's thoughts. He thinks of you. Jesus prays for you night and day. You become a part of his family with all the privileges. And then chapter 4 opens up and says, well, walk in a manner worthy of your calling. Literally, the word has the idea of an axis. You've been given all this. Now live it out in such a way that your speech and your thoughts and your relationships and your heart and your money and your time and your agenda and your dreams, they reflect this new person that you are. And as you see it, he says we're to walk in light, we're to walk in love, and we're to walk in truth or walk in holiness. And in verses 25 to 32 of Ephesians chapter 4, he says, those of you who used to steal, stop stealing and begin to be generous and to give. Those of you who lie, stop lying and speak the truth in love. Those of you that used your tongue to put down and manipulate and hurt people, don't do no unwholesome word out of your mouth, but only words that give grace and life and love. And then by the time he gets toward the end, he says, those of you who had a series of attitudes of bitterness and anger and malice that grew out of your own self-centeredness, put away all those destructive relational attitudes. And then look in the Bible. Look at verse 32. What's it say? But be, literally, it's show yourself kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another. How? Just as God in Christ also forgave you. And then our verse, therefore, what's it say? Be imitators of God. How? As dearly loved children, and walk in love. And then it describes how. See, the therefore tells you exactly how to do relationships. We're to do it the same way God does relationships. You still have that pen out. If you will, underline the word be imitators and underline the little phrase walk in love. There's two commands in this passage. The first command is that we're to be imitators of God. Have you ever heard the word mimic? To mimic someone, they do something and you mimic them. That's this Greek word. You're literally to mimic God. And in the grammar, the word be is up front. It's a command. Demonstrate or be a mimic of God. And how do you do that? As a dearly loved child. You do it out of the resources of what he's already done in your life. The second command is then to walk in love. And here the idea is it's not an experience. It's a choice. It's a habitual lifestyle of walking in love. Well, what's it look like to walk in love? Look at the phrase, just as Christ also loved you. How did he love you? One, he gave himself up for us. Why did he do it? An offering and a sacrifice to God. The offering looks at his devotion. The sacrifice looks at the price. And then notice this last phrase, as a fragrant aroma. That word is only used in the Old Testament as a free will offering. We could spend a lot of time exegeting those two verses, but let me instead do this. I want to give you God's prescription in the same kind of 4 steps that parallel Hollywood's. And then we're going to talk about how to put these into practice and how literally this is a way where you can experience authentic love, the kind of sex God intended, and a relationship that lasts. And so, step number 1 would become the right person. Instead of find the right person, it's become the right person. Can you imagine the shift in orientation? And you're saying, what do you mean, become the right person? I mean, mimic God. Become the kind of person that mimics God. Well, what is God like? Well, look at verse 32 of chapter 4. Mimic his kindness. Mimic his generosity. Mimic his tender-heartedness. Treat people with a tender heart. Forgive people the way God forgives people. And by the way, who is God kind to? Is he just kind to the people that he likes? It says he causes the rain to fall on the wicked and on the righteous. He says that who are we to love? We're to love others even as he loves us. And so God says, if you want to have the kind of relationships, instead of focusing on getting out on the hunt, kind of looking in the mirror to find out what those jeans really fit right, he says, why don't you start and look at your heart instead? Instead of focusing outward and saying, I'm going to find her, I'll find him, I'll find her, I'll find him. Why don't you start with you and you become the kind of person that mimics God. You become the kind of person that is winsome and generous, the kind of person that we all like to be around, that's kind, it's caring, the kind of person that isn't self-focused but outwardly focused. The kind of person that when you're wounded, instead of taking your ball and go home and blaming other people and talking about them behind their back, yes, you're wounded, you look at it, and you forgive them in the same way that God forgave you. You make it your goal to become the right kind of person. Become a man or a woman of God. Become the kind of person, are you ready for this, that you'd really like to marry. When one of your children is in intensive care, you're not really too worried about your waist size. When you go through a devastating loss and one of your parents die, when you walk out of a doctor's office and they say, by the way, before you go, we ran that biopsy. It's positive. Now, we have treatment, but you got about 20% chance to live. Do you want to look across to the person who walked out of that doctor's office with you and know they are loyal, they are committed, they are with you, they will stick with you the way God sticks with you? Isn't that what you want? You know what kind of person those people attract? Those kind of people are looking for that same kind of person. And so if you really want the kind of relationships that will satisfy deeply, don't focus on finding the right person. Focus on becoming the right person. Second, walk in love. Walk in love, he says, what that looks like. It means you're a giver instead of a getter. Let me give you a definition for love that's been very helpful for me. Love is giving the other person what they need the most when they deserve it the least, because God has done that for me. That's what it means to walk in love. Walk in love isn't you have ooey gooey feelings. Now, by the way, we're going to talk about that later. God does give infatuation or ooey gooey feelings and electricity for the right reasons at the right times. But we think that's love. It's not. It's infatuation. Walk in love. Walking in love is a choice. Walking in love is doing what you don't want to do because it's the right thing to do because you're committed to that person and you don't have the resources, but you choose to do it anyway. And the moment you take the step, boom, God gives you the strength. That's what it means to walk in love. Walking in love forgives the person who blew up with you with the anger. Walking in love means that you're wounded and you're hurt and you want to roll to the other side of the bed and not talk at all. And you say, we need to get this resolved before we go to bed. Walking in love is that, okay, you won't call me back. You know what? I'm still going to pursue you. We're going to get this straightened out. It's extending grace. It's giving the other person what they need the most. Are you ready? When they deserve it the least. And you know what? When you begin to do that to one another, I'll tell you what makes for an awesome relationship. You want to live with someone who loves you, isn't just emotionally lit up over you now and then. And so God says, become the right person. Second, walk in love. And then are you ready for this? Third, fix your hope on God and seek to please Him through your relationship. Even Jesus in this passage, who is He seeking to please? It wasn't Himself and it wasn't even us. Who was a fragrant aroma, who offered Himself as a sacrifice, a fragrant aroma to God. What an amazing thing would happen if there was a generation of people who said, I believe God will bring us together. I'm not going to ask you to come through for me. I'm not going to ask you to look the right way and talk the right way and be responsive in every area just the way I want for our relationship to work. I am going to try and please God so that if this relationship goes nowhere, 6 months or 9 months or a year from now, you'll say, you know something? I dated that guy or I dated that girl. And you know something? It was really different. It was very God-centered. And boy, I'll tell you, I learned over time that he or she wasn't the right one for me. But I think I grew closer in my relationship with God as a result of my friendship with that person than any guy or any girl I've ever met in my life. You see, when you take that approach, it'll revolutionize. Because Hollywood's approach is all about how you look, isn't it? Hollywood's approach is all about how you feel. Hollywood's approach basically is what can you get? And when you want to get and they want to get, guess what happens? Conflict. It's based on two selfish, immature people trying to impress an image cast and act like something they're not to attract someone to have something that doesn't exist. And they play the game only to find there's a reality. You know what that is? That's Hollywood. You know what that is? Pretend. You know what that is? That is deception. You know what that is? You are being suckered and you are being deceived and you are buying in and you are filling your mind with songs and videos and books and TV messages that are telling you something that is a non-reality, and it doesn't work. When are we going to wake up? When are we going to wake up? We keep doing the same thing over and over and over with the same results. Why? Because it's all about finding the right person. And you know what it ends up being? It ends up being all about you. It ends up being all about the world revolving around you and you trying to satisfy you. And there is a way which appears or seems right to a man or right to a woman, and the end thereof is it's death. And so I come here with a heart of compassion. I come here to say, you know something? Don't do it the way I did it. Do it God's way. You can have what is so awesome and so good, but I'm going to tell you on the front end, it's going to be harder. You will be swimming upstream. But man, you can be loved and you can love in ways and at depths that are unimaginable. And with that comes, at the right time and the right way, a sexual intimacy that isn't some sort of one-night stand, and there's no shame and there's no all the baggage that comes with it. It's about communication and exaltation and worship and intimacy the way God intended. He created it. It's a great thing. Many of you sitting in here thinking, I don't know if I believe in marriage. I want it. I long to be loved, but you know something? It didn't work for my parents. Didn't work for my sister. Didn't work for my best friend. And so what happens? We got a generation of men that are afraid to make a commitment. We have a generation of women who are saying, I don't know if I want it. And it's a catch-22, isn't it? Isn't it hard? Because part of you long for this relationship, but when you look at how marriages are playing out, and not outside the church, but inside the church, you say, whoa, I want you to know you can be the exception. You can be the exception when you focus not on finding the right person, you become the right person. You focus not on falling in love, you focus on walking in love. You focus not on fixing your eyes on this person, that they're going to be the answer to your life. You fix your eyes on God and say, use this relationship to make us both like Christ. And then step number 4, God's way, is when this fails, not if it fails. When it fails and you have a fight, things go south, you repeat and go back up to step 1, 2, and 3. You see, when my relationship with my wife isn't going well, what I used to do is blame her. In other words, right? So she must not be the right person, or she's not coming through for me. Instead, I go to step 1 and I ask, am I the right person? Am I becoming the man that she needs? Do you see the difference? Become the right person, walk in love, fix your hope on God, and then when it does fall apart, and it will fall apart, go back and ask, am I the right person? And the rewards, not only is the success rate phenomenal, the reward, the legacy, the blessing. I mean, I got to tell you, because I didn't grow up this way. The joy and the intimacy after over 25 years, I am more in love with my wife after 25 years than I was in day 1 or year 1. And we have worked at it, and we have read books, and we've gone to counseling, and we've wrestled with tough issues, and we've raised 4 kids. But the joy in the intimacy, when you do it God's way, it is possible. Now, emotionally, have I had times in my marriage where I wanted to say, hey, forget this. I'm going to find someone who's easier to live with? Of course I have. Anyone who tells you they haven't thought those thoughts is lying. It's what you do with those thoughts that makes the difference. Do you choose to walk in love, or do you buy into the images on the screen? And you know what? This isn't theory for me. I didn't grow up in a Christian home. Everything I'm telling you, I learned, and I learned the hard way. And my wife, she learned the hard way. She came out of a very difficult relationship. She came to Christ because she was abandoned. I met her when she had these 2 small kids. And I want to tell you, for the last 25 years, with, being very human, 3 steps forward, 2 steps backward, trusting, pressing ahead, hitting walls, wondering, what are we going to do? Working through multiple issues in our marriage. Now, with 25 years behind us, I've got 3 grown sons. And I've watched every one of them walk with God. I've watched every one of them pick a godly mate. We saw a revolution occur. I came from a baggage past, my wife from a baggage past. The Jesus of Nazareth, who is real and is alive and was risen from the dead and is alive, said, do it this way. Don't do it Hollywood's way. Do it my way. And it's hard, and we went upstream, and it was difficult, and I want to tell you this. It is rich, and it is good, and the reward is over the top. And now I see my kids in a legacy passing the torch. And I see them learning to become the right person and to walk in love and fix their hope on God. Which model are you going to choose? Which one do you unconsciously believe the most? By and large, the Church of Jesus Christ has put so much of Hollywood's material in their mind and their thinking that by and large, we as Christians live by model 1, not by model 2. And the results in the Christian families are exactly like non-Christian families. Here's what I want to offer to you. Yours can be different. Yours can be different.
You need sex to get dates. You have to look a certain image, and everyone has sex. That's what the world is telling me.
It's a complete 180 from everything you hear. I mean, on television, the web, music. I mean, it's a complete contrast to popular culture. And it's exactly what my generation and younger generation needs to hear.
We just like to think of the good. We like to think of the nice, happy stuff, the love and the romance and all the success that can come from that. And I think that Hollywood has just hyped it up, what we've already put out there. And that God's way is the truth. And that the deceiver's done a great job of trying to overshadow that.
Yours can be different. You can have deeper and better relationships than you ever imagined. But it begins with an evaluation. And as we start our time together, this journey into love, sex, and lasting relationships, I want to ask you a question, and I want you to answer it before you even open the workbooks. And here's the question. In what ways has Hollywood's model infiltrated your thinking and your behavior in your relationship to the opposite sex? I want you to go right around the room, whoever wants to share, no one has to, but whoever wants to share, give me about a paragraph or two about how Hollywood's model has impacted you. And by the way, small group leader, would you take the lead here? Why don't you go first, and let's start the journey together.